Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to help you get genuinely well-informed, cutting through all the noise. Today, we're really diving deep, exploring the aphorisms of the Venerable Ashin Janakäbhivumsa. Now, these aren't just, old sayings. They're incredibly sharp, powerful statements. Each one gives you a really profound way to look at life, people, everything. So our mission today, we want to pull out the key insights, the real nuggets of wisdom from these ancient lines, and show you how relevant they still are right now. We hope to give you some timeless tools, really, to navigate modern life with a bit more understanding. Connect these old ideas to what you experience every day. It's quite surprising how well they fit. Okay, so let's get into it. The Venerable Ashin Janakäbhivumsa, he doesn't pull any punches, especially when looking at human nature. Some of these first points are, well, they can be a bit confronting. Like aphorism 1, it says, all people are stupid unless they have attained the state of enlightenment. Wow. That's quite an opening line, isn't it? I mean, most of us think we're reasonably smart. So what does stupid mean here?
It can't just be about like IQ scores or anything like that.
Yeah, that's a really important point. It's fascinating because stupid here isn't a judgment on your intellect, how clever you are academically. It's pointing to something deeper, a lack of enlightened understanding, maybe, a kind of spiritual insight. And if we connect this, it often ties back to being caught in what's called samsara.
Samsara.
Right, exactly, that continuous cycle of birth, death, rebirth, all driven by craving, by ignorance. It kind of traps us in repeating patterns of, suffering. Like aphorism 31 says, basically, subtract ignorance and desire from life, and there's no more samsara. And aphorism 197 also talks about this cycle of existences. So without enlightenment, you're sort of stuck in that loop. You lack the real wisdom to get out. So stupid here means lacking that kind of transformative insight. It leaves us, fundamentally unprepared for life's deeper stuff, just cycling through dissatisfaction without really getting it. It makes you question what smart really means, doesn't it?
It totally reframes it.
Yeah.
It's not about book smarts, it's about life smarts, but in a much, much deeper way. And this challenging view carries on. Look at aphorism 7. All people are mere fools, so long as they encourage materialism to flourish in this world. I mean, that really hits home today, doesn't it? Our whole society seems built on wanting more stuff. It feels like the default. What are the implications of this folly, as he calls it, beyond just, owning too much?
Well, it taps into a timeless trap, really. When we chase materialism, we're chasing satisfaction that just doesn't last. We tie our happiness, our self-worth to things we buy. And the Venerable connects this directly to dukkha.
Dukkha, huh?
Yeah, dukkha. It's often translated as unhappiness or suffering, but it's richer than that. It's that underlying stress, the unsatisfactoriness, the fact that everything changes. Aphorism 34 touches on this fundamental unease. So materialism, from this viewpoint, it doesn't just distract us. It actually stops us finding real, lasting happiness. It blocks the path towards nibbana.
Nibbana. That's another key idea we should probably clarify. What exactly is nibbana here?
Nibbana. It's the ultimate goal, really. Liberation from suffering. A state of profound peace, freedom. It's when craving, greed, ignorance, all that stuff just stops. So going back to aphorism 7, the real folly is basing our contentment on things that are bound to change, things outside our control. This constant wanting creates this feeling of never quite being complete, always needing the next thing. And the aphorism just calls that out as, foolishness that prevents real contentment and that deeper freedom.
That's a powerful link, seeing our shopping habits tied to fundamental dissatisfaction,
Yeah.
don't you think? And then there's aphorism 52, which describes something we all see, probably do sometimes. People are in the habit of pointing their fingers at others. They don't point at themselves.
Oh man, I bet everyone listening is nodding right now. You see it everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Online, at work. What does this tendency to look outward say about, taking responsibility for ourselves, about that hard look in the mirror? It really gets to the core of why self-reflection is so hard, doesn't it? This habit of focusing outward, it literally stops us from doing that genuine self-assessment. And without that, how can we actually improve? It's like a quiet warning. Look at yourself first. Take charge of your own inner world. It brings up that critical question. How do we grow if we're always blaming something or someone else? Aphorism 220 puts it so plainly, don't look at others' fault, know your own. It shows how we tend to protect our ego, right? projecting flaws onto others instead of facing our own uncomfortable truths. It makes real self-improvement almost impossible because we're always looking outside for answers to inner problems.
It's so much easier to see the speck in someone else's eye, isn't it?
Yeah.
I catch myself.
Yeah.
Reading this is like a splash of cold water.
Yeah.
What makes us do that so much?
Often it's just a defense mechanism. It's uncomfortable confronting our own stuff. It takes real guts, real effort to turn that finger around. So this aphorism is just a stark reminder. Real change, real growth. It starts with being honest with yourself, not critiquing everyone else.
And it all seems to connect, especially when you look at aphorism 250. In this world, the stupid person envies the clever one. The inferior man is jealous of the man in superior position. Such attitudes emanates from malice. This loops right back to stupidity and folly, doesn't it? Suggesting that not understanding things deeply or being too attached to stuff can actually fuel nasty emotions like envy and jealousy.
Precisely. It shows a kind of vicious cycle. That initial stupidity, the lack of deep understanding, and the folly of chasing material things, they can bubble up as malice, envy, jealousy when we see others doing well or seeming to. Without that inner wisdom, the mind kind of defaults to these unhealthy states. And that just creates more dukkha, more suffering for us and for others. The real insight here is that these negative feelings aren't just flaws in character, they're symptoms of a deeper, spiritual immaturity, a failure to grasp what real happiness is about, how interconnected we are. Envy and jealousy, they're basically self-inflicted wounds. They stop us appreciating our own journey, finding our own peace, because we're always comparing our insides to someone else's outside.
Okay, so after hearing these pretty tough observations about us humans, you might be sitting there thinking, all right, well, what am I supposed to do? And this is where it gets really practical. These aphorisms aren't just criticisms. They offer some solid, sometimes quite stark, advice for actually living life. Let's take aphorism 10. People are born, grow up, and die in a listless manner. In fact, they should prepare themselves for old age, sickness, and death after they have acquired the necessities of life. That phrase, listless manner, really jumps out. And the call to prepare for things beyond just, having enough money.
This one really challenges us to live with intention, doesn't it? Not just drift along. That listless state is like floating through life without a real purpose, without really grappling with the big inevitabilities, getting old, getting sick, dying. And preparation here, it's not just about retirement funds or health plans, though those things matter practically. More deeply, it's about mental and spiritual readiness. It's about understanding impermanence, seeing that things change. And it requires earnest work on ourselves. Like aphorism 11 says, work earnestly, and 24/7 says you need enthusiasm in practicing the Dhamma, the teachings, to reach your goal. So this kind of preparation isn't a one-off thing you do once you're comfortable. It's ongoing, a conscious effort throughout life. It's about building that inner resilience, that wisdom, so when life throws those curveballs aging, illness, we meet them with some calm, not just despair, avoiding more dukkha.
That totally shifts what preparation means. From just practical stuff to something really existential. And thinking about being prepared inevitably makes us think about our desires, right? Which brings us to aphorism 33. It's a sharp look at greed. Loba greed increases. If you can expect again 1,000, you will forego the 100. Naturally, if you want to achieve a greater gain, you must sacrifice a smaller gain. This really captures how greed just keeps growing, but also maybe hints at a kind of wisdom, like giving up small things now for bigger things later. But I can imagine some people thinking, well, isn't wanting some gain just human? Isn't that ambition? How does this draw the line between, say, healthy drive and destructive greed?
That's a really good question. It cuts right to the core. The aphorism highlights lobha, greed, as a major block to peace, to progress. Aphorism 210 lists lobha right alongside anger, dosa, and ignorance, moha, as things that if you let them swamp you, mean you can't even claim to love yourself. It's serious stuff. It's about seeing that constant escalating want, that appetite that's never satisfied actually undermines your well-being. Aphorism 251 does clarify, desire for necessities is okay. It's when it goes beyond reasonable limits that it's a problem. The greater gain mentioned here, it's likely not more money or possessions. It's probably spiritual growth, lasting peace, wisdom. And achieving that requires consciously letting go of the smaller, fleeting attachments that keep us hooked but ultimately don't satisfy. It's different from healthy ambition, because greed, as the aphorism implies, is insatiable. Ambition might have a goal, right? Greed just keeps wanting more and more, turns us into constant seekers, never finding peace. So yeah, it's about seeing that real long-term value sometimes means strategically giving up the quick, easy fixes.
That's a very practical, almost strategic way to view our own behavior, especially when everything around us shouts, get more.
Yeah.
And then we get aphorism 262 with this really powerful image. If you can patch up another's boat and cannot patch your own, you will be drowned in midstream.
Wow.
That's crystal clear, isn't it? What does patching your own boat really mean for our own growth before we rush off to fix everyone else?
Oh, this is so vital. For self-care, yes, but also for making sure any help we give is actually useful and, sustainable. It's really pushing for self-work first. Building inner strength. Patching your own boat means working hard on your moral purity, that's Sila. Developing mental stability, concentration, samadhi. And cultivating wisdom, panya.
Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Okay.
Exactly. Aphorism 15 and 145 name these three explicitly as essential qualities, the things you achieve through the Buddha's path. They're the bedrock of personal well-being. Without working on these in yourself, any attempt to help others might fall flat or even cause harm because your own foundation is shaky. Your own cup is empty, basically. It's a reminder that being genuinely helpful starts with having your own house in order, Robust self-awareness, inner coherence. You can't guide someone to safety if your own boat's leaking badly.
It's the ultimate put your own oxygen mask on first advice, isn't it? Profoundly practical. So where does all this lead? How do these aphorisms point us towards something deeper, real wisdom, real happiness, a sense of purpose? Beyond just the daily grind and what we usually think of as success, let's look at aphorism 40. Fame and wealth are, after all, nothing. When you die, you have to depend on sila, precept, samadhi, mental stability, and panya. Seed. This directly challenges how we normally define success, right? Fame, money. He says the nothing in the end. Can you unpack those three qualities again? Sila, samadhi, panya, and how they become what we truly depend on after death. Unlike worldly stuff.
Yeah, this one really turns our usual values upside down, doesn't it? It shifts the focus entirely from external status symbols to internal qualities. Sila, samadhi, and panya. These are the essential virtues. They're the only things we can truly depend on that last. Not just in this life, but, across the whole cycle of existence. So sila, that's living ethically with integrity, not causing harm, it's the foundation. Samadhi, that's the stable, focused mind. Calm, not jumping all over the place. And panya, that's the deep wisdom. Seeing things as they really are, understanding impermanence, non-self. Aphorism 145 clearly states these are the goals of the practice. Unlike fame or money, which are temporary, gone at death, often soon are these inner qualities we build. They provide real support, resilience, genuine freedom. They're like the capital we build inside ourselves, a spiritual bank account maybe. It doesn't disappear, it carries forward. That's what truly endures when everything else fades. It's like building your own internal mansion instead of just decorating a rented room.
An internal mansion. I like that. A profound way to think about real success, enduring success. And that leads perfectly into aphorism 126. It is not that one has happiness as one is in a good position materially. It is only when one has less desires and anger one attains happiness. It completely reframes happiness, doesn't it? Away from external things, the good job, the nice house, towards internal states, which honestly for many of us is a radical idea.
Absolutely radical. This aphorism makes it crystal clear. True sukha, real happiness, like aphorism 72 mentions, it's cultivated inside, not acquired outside. And it's directly tied to reducing those three poisons we talked about. Lobha, greed, dosa, anger, and moha, ignorance. Remember aphorism 210?
Greed, anger, ignorance.
Right. By actively working to lessen those inner defilements, by consciously dialing down our desires, our anger, we actually create the mental space for real contentment, for peace. And this insight is revolutionary because it says happiness isn't something you find out there or get by achieving something. It's something you grow by working on your inner world. It's like a skill you develop, a practice, not a destination you arrive at or a product you can buy. The path to deep happiness isn't accumulating more. It's letting go of what ties you to being unhappy.
That's a huge shift in perspective.
Yeah.
Huge. And aphorism 99 gives us another simple but really powerful idea. Loving others is in fact loving yourself. How does that connection work? It sounds almost like a contradiction to some people, doesn't it? Like self-love versus loving others.
It might sound like it, but it's not a paradox at all. It's actually a fundamental truth in this way of thinking, and honestly, in many wisdom traditions. Your actions towards others, they directly bounce back and affect your own state, your own karma.
Karma, cause and effect.
Exactly. Aphorism 155 says karma is basically encouragement. Do good, good results. Do bad, bad results. And 190 adds that those results stick around as long as ignorance and desire do. So when you act with kindness, with compassion, generosity towards others, you're actually cultivating those exact same qualities inside yourself. And that leads to your own well-being, your own inner peace, your own moral purity. Aphorism 270 encourages spreading metta, loving kindness. And 271 explains that being morally pure brings joy, real happiness, even physical well-being and mental stability. So loving others becomes this amazing self-reinforcing way to improve yourself and find genuine happiness. It's recognizing we're all connected. What you put out comes back. A positive ripple outward inevitably flows inward.
That's beautiful. It makes self-interest seem, well, enlightened in the best possible way. And for some really practical advice on how to live that interconnectedness daily, Aphorism 260 says, "Don't speak ill of others in their absence. Don't condemn them in their presence. Don't be hasty to blame them." I mean, that's incredibly clear guidance for how we talk and judge, isn't it? Seems like a complete cure for so much of the negativity we swim in today.
It absolutely is so direct, so timeless. It's about mindful speech, about avoiding snap judgments. It's about bringing restraint, compassion, understanding into how we interact. Every single interaction. If you don't talk badly about people when they're not there, you stop spreading negativity, you build trust, makes things more harmonious, right? If you don't condemn them to their face, you leave room for actual conversation, not just defensiveness. And if you're not quick to blame, you create space for empathy, for maybe understanding the whole picture better. Ultimately, practicing these things doesn't just make the world around you a bit better, it makes your inner world more peaceful too. It aligns your actions with that sila, that moral purity, that wisdom you're trying to cultivate. It really confirms that how we treat others shapes our own peace.
We've covered a lot of ground today, journeying through some really deep insights from Ashin Janakäbhivumsa. Starting with those tough truths about human nature, moving into practical advice for living, and then exploring that deeper path to fulfillment, happiness, purpose. It's been quite the deep dive.
Yeah, and what strikes me is how consistently these aphorisms push us to look beyond the surface, beyond what seems immediately important, to actively work on our inner selves, wisdom, morality through real effort. Diligent effort. It's not about just wishing or praying. Aphorism 153 is so clear. You cannot achieve the ultimate state of moral purity by praying. You must work for the achievement. And 246 says it again. Praying alone won't give you the potential for moral purity. You get it by practicing. With or without prayer, the responsibility is squarely on us. Internal work. Diligent practice. That's the only way to real lasting change.
It really makes me think of Aphorism 232, which kind of sums up this whole journey beautifully.
Yeah.
Samsara is the physical and moral journey to Nibbana. It is a long journey. If you take a long view, and will find the events that often crop up in life to be nothing strange, it is important to have the wisdom of going on the journey steadily. Don't look to the transient events of just one existence. Look to the destination of journey Nibbana. That ties everything together. Samsara, the long view, the goal of Nibbana.
And that leaves a really important question for you, the listener. If life within this huge cycle of samsara is actually quite short, Aphorism 150 says one life is very short, just a moment. How might seeing your current problems through that much longer lens, that purposeful journey, change how you see things? Change what you do today? What steps could you take right now to make sure your personal journey is about real progress, not just fleeting fun? Remember Aphorism 88. Opportunity that comes to you is not for your enjoyment, it is for your progress.
Definitely something to chew on, a lot to think about there. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the wisdom of Ashin Janakäbhivumsa. We really hope these insights give you not just things to know, but maybe a new way to look at your own path forward.